one driver who will make his way through 42 other cars and 500 miles to decide who will win the Daytona 500.
I'm driving for Team Penske.
My mom, my dad, myself, we were all there.
I'm a rookie at the Daytona 500.
Just being there, it was Christmas to me.
There was everything at stake.
I was 30 years old.
I was 8 years old.
Everyone remembers the day, no matter really what age you were.
Dale Earnhardt was one of the sports icons.
As a kid, he was the man in black.
He was the 3-car. He was the real deal.
Dale Earnhardt was larger than life. Everybody was just in awe of him and his aura.
Rough around the edges.
Dale Earnhardt was it.
The Daytona 500. Whose face will grace victory lane today?
History, speed, excitement, it's all here for NASCAR's biggest race.
Not a typical Daytona 500. It felt as though that it was ratcheted up quite a bit.
This was Fox's first ever NASCAR race, this multi-billion-dollar commitment.
Where NASCAR was headed, it felt like we were bigger than the NFL, bigger than Major League Baseball and basketball.
One to go. The last lap.
Michael Waltrip leading the race, and Dale Jr.'s in second, and Dale was right there as well. Dale's playing protector role, keeping the 2 DEI cars out front.
It's the last lap. It's Daytona 500. Everybody's going for it.
Come on, get him in the 4. Get him in the 3-car down. Oh! Big trouble. Big wreck behind them.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
The first thing crossed my mind was, oh man, he is going to be so mad.
How about that? All right. How about Dale? Is he okay? I hope Dale's okay. I guess he's all right, isn't he? And I could tell in Darrell Waltrip's voice that he was thinking the exact same thing that I was thinking. Dale's gonna be okay, isn't he?
You know, they're fine, he's fine. The guy's superhuman, like he's gonna come out of this thing, you know, no problem.
By the time I got there, all the cars were down in the infield. When I drove by it, I kind of just looked over and the things that were happening, like there was something weird about turn 4 when I drove through there.
February 18th, 2001 is a continental divide date. You remember what life was like before that day, and you remember what life has been like after that day.
This is undoubtedly one of the toughest announcements that I've ever personally had to make. But after the accident in turn 4 at the end of the Daytona 500, we've lost Dale Earnhardt.
I first met Dale in '79. He left too quickly with the impression that he was just a simple person that was very fortunate to have a chance to drive a race car. He was a working man's hero. The blue-collar world or the working man world could relate to him and say, that's my guy. On the track, he didn't get the nickname Intimidator by being anything less than that.
Oh, and Earnhardt spins him out. Dale Earnhardt takes the checkered flag.
Off the racetrack, he was a real person. He enjoyed life and was lighthearted about things that he could be.
If you pull a black flag on me, you know what's going to happen, don't you?
I know you're going to move over, I hope.
No more Harold Kendall.
I'm smiling. Wipe sweat off of you.
Wipe the sweat off of you, too.
I'm not sweating. I don't sweat. Never sweat.
And took everything else pretty serious. I would join Dale and take some pretty Mac Daddy trips through Europe or Japan. And those experiences, in a lot of cases, were mine and Dale Sr.'s first experience like that.
First time, the right-handed steering wheel. Something's wrong with this picture.
We'd go to some unique places and got to see some unique parts of the world. Our friendship was established before I became part of the government.
I'm pleased to announce today that I have named Mike Helton Chief Operating Officer of NASCAR.
We understood each other professionally and wouldn't let it get in the way personally. In February 2001, I was the president of NASCAR.
The #1 race, the Super Bowl, the Daytona 500.
It was kind of the launch of a new era for us.
Oh, say.
A lot of pomp and circumstance.
Start your engine! We're racing.
You knew the Daytona 500 finishes could be interesting. Then a lot of movement can go on in a 2.5-mile stretch between the white and the checkered.
All right, here we go now. This is when it's going to get tense, boys.
3 wide behind them. The 3-car down. Big trouble. Big wreck behind them.
Then we had the wreck in turn 4 and didn't think anything out of the ordinary. But then as the accident unfolded after the race was over with, you got the sense that it wasn't a normal accident. Obviously, there was a responsibility on NASCAR's side to talk about it. And we all kind of looked at each other and says, all right, somebody's got to go to the media center. And I'm not sure how I got the task of doing it, but I did. And talking it out, I just said that, well, how do you tell the world that we lost Dale Earnhardt today?
Just get a little bit of room, thank you.
We okay with sound upstairs? And somebody said, that's how you do it.
After the accident in turn 4 at the end of the Daytona 500, we've lost Dale Earnhardt.
I see the clip and it doesn't, I don't know what I feel. It's almost surreal. It's almost as if it's not really me doing it. I knew what we did after the accident. I knew what we did the rest of the year. But that one moment that got captured is, I don't know how to explain when I see it other than the fact that it doesn't register as having been me that did that. I was doing what I needed to do on behalf of NASCAR. But at no time did I ever separate the personal side of it from the professional side. I would speak professionally, but my heart would tell me that we lost Dale Earnhardt, but we all lost a really unique, special person.
Damn, my leg's looking good.
I'm really glad that I had the personal relationship to fall back on and hurt from. Fans will come up to me and they'll say, I remember you having to announce the loss of Dale Earnhardt, and it gives me some comfort that Mike Helton and Dale Earnhardt, even though it was such a tragic announcement, that we're connected. It would have been nice if it was for some other reason.
Hi, I'm Chris Myers from just above Victory Lane here at the birthplace of NASCAR in Daytona. And NASCAR is born again as Fox Sports begins its coverage of the Winston Cup Series.
Dale looking very strong during Speed Weeks. Can you win your second 500 today?
Gonna see something you probably hadn't ever seen on Fox.
As a television producer, he was such a great story, always. He was a bigger-than-life, colorful character.
If you're in a room with 1,000 people, if he walked in the back door of the room without saying a word, we'd all turn around and look, because he just changed the air.
He helped change the direction of NASCAR because he was so highly respected.
The first time I met Dale Earnhardt would have been 1996.
Earnhardt, when he started running, I was 16, so I met him then.
You'd heard about the Intimidator and the Man in Black and all those things, and so maybe you expected him to be as big as his statue is now. I was shocked that he wasn't actually 8.5 feet tall, but he certainly felt like that.
He was such a great bad guy, for lack of a better term. He was always mad at somebody, and somebody was always mad at him.
I give him the whole bottom lane, you knock the out of him this way. They ought to find that son of a bitch that make him sit out the rest of the year. I didn't run him in the wall or nothing, then he tried to wreck me after the caution there. I think he's a little upset.
He made spectacular television.
Make sure your fellow racer can see you coming. If it's Jeff Gordon, put the son of a bitch in the wall. I didn't say that.
Fox had never done any stock car racing at all. They hired me to do quite a bit of things because I was doing it for TNN and TBS, and you know, our budget for a race was maybe $300,000. Well, Fox was spending $3 million. It was a huge seminal change in NASCAR. And they came out in February of 2001 with the biggest event of the year.
I was the producer of Totally NASCAR. And I had received a call at the start of that week. The 7-time Winston Cup champion would like to be on your television show this week. Do you have any room for him on Friday? But Dale Earnhardt sat down, he looked right into the camera, and he said, congrats on the new job, don't f it up. And that was the last conversation I had with Dale Earnhardt. And then, of course, we all know what happened just a couple days later. I was so happy for Michael Waltrip. That was an amazing moment. But within maybe 10 minutes, my phone rang. And it was my boss, Patty Wheeler. She said, I believe that Dale Earnhardt is dead. You need to get into the office.
I was bracing myself for all the sorrow to come, all the people who were going to be shocked, brokenhearted, and ruined almost from this.
By the time I made the 20-minute drive over to where we produced the show, Mike Helton was stepping to the podium. And it was like watching a movie when you know how it's going to end, but you're watching it in a room full of people that don't know yet.
We've lost Dale Earnhardt.
I felt really bad for Mike Helton to have to stand up there and tell the world. And you could see just the heartbreak in his eyes, in his demeanor, and the cracking of his voice.
We've lost Dale Earnhardt. He said we, which was all of us. Whether you loved him or whether you hated him or whether you worked in NASCAR or whether you just were a fan, that's we. And then that word lost, it wasn't he's dead, it wasn't he's perished, it wasn't, you know, he died in an accident. Lost was the perfect word at the perfect time, because everyone was lost and they stayed lost for months. And I would argue in some cases for years. The sport had lost its anchor.
And NASCAR has lost its greatest driver ever. And I personally have lost a great friend. And that's Bill Francis' quote, and I think that pretty well sums it up for the NASCAR community right now.
Dale Earnhardt's death was the biggest news NASCAR had ever had. Earnhardt was on the cover of the San Francisco Chronicle, who really didn't even know how to spell NASCAR, right? New York Times, BBC, The Today Show, big broadcast television. It was the biggest thing I had ever seen.
This was supposed to be one of the most important races in the history of NASCAR with the new network. And it was all so perfect. And now it is the doomsday scenario. How are we going to do this? Rudderless is the term that I used a lot, that 2001, 2002 stretch. Everyone had lost their leader. Richard Childress Racing had lost, you know, the man everything was built around. Fox Sports had lost the guy they were using to promote what was happening. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated lost the guy whose name was over the door. Everything at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated was built around one man. When he died, the company was doomed. And I gave them credit for continuing to win and continuing to stay relevant.
Our main focus is to try and maintain and progress with the vision my father had with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated to the best of our ability.
But it was always a countdown. It's hard to explain to people now the entire sport went through one person, and it was a race car driver. Mike Helton had lost the guy that he could call and say, what is the garage thinking about this, and are we doing the right thing?
Well, first of all, we're racing at a big disadvantage with no spoilers and no surveillances. We're against everything else that's racing out there. When that NASCAR needs to do something, we can't have to drive the cars after the tires get worn.
If there was ever even the slightest bit of issue, you would see Dale Earnhardt walk straight into the NASCAR hauler. And no one else did that. He was going to go talk to Bill France Jr., or he was going to talk to Mike Helton. Jeff Gordon was not that guy. Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano are smart, but if they walk into the NASCAR hauler and say, this is what you should do, we'll take that under advisement. If Dale Earnhardt said that, they probably were going to do it. He was a singular personality.
Mr. President, we've got a little present here for you to take back. It's a flag that we've all signed.
Hey, that's great.
All our autographs are on it, so you don't have to go around and get autographs from us.
NASCAR television has not been the same since Earnhardt died, and I say that without any hyperbole at all. The fans, you either hated him or you loved him, but it brought out a tremendous amount of emotion. The kind of emotion I don't think that is still around.
Every fan standing as Dale Earnhardt has powered his way to the front.
I am stopped at the airport, at dinner, certainly at the racetrack, at college football games. I'm stopped all the time to this day and asked, how different would things be if Dale Earnhardt was still here? And they want to talk about the postseason format, and they want to talk about, you know, the next-gen car. They want to talk about those things. And my answer is always, no, no, no. If Dale Earnhardt was still here, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, we'd go look at their Cup Series championship trophies in the lobby. He was only going to drive for a couple more years tops. And then he was going to be the boss. And probably doing TV and running the race scene and the succession plan for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Checkered flag, Dale Earnhardt Jr., first-time Winston Cup winner.
I mean, it was all laid out. And I don't know how many wins they'd have, but I know they'd damn sure still be in business.
Excuse me, who are you pulling for today?
Oh, Dale Earnhardt. Without a doubt.
Who are you pulling for today?
Dale Earnhardt, of course.
He's just the best.
He's fantastic. Yes, we have a shrine for him at home.
Dale Earnhardt's a hero to everybody and always will.
Okay, everybody rolling?
Rolling.
Whenever you're ready.
My first NASCAR race I went to was at Charlotte Motor Speedway when I was 7 or 8 years old. Dale Earnhardt was it. Everyone in the world, I think, knew who Dale Earnhardt was. He was a superhero, and never thought I'd have the opportunity to meet him. I was 15 years old. Malcolm in the Middle had premiered the previous year and was a really big success for Fox. And they asked me to be the Grand Marshal of the 2001 Daytona 500, which, as a race fan, you know, was such a cool experience. I just remember thinking that everything was just so much greater and grander and so much more energy than I'd ever felt for any sporting event. I'd been to the Golden Globes, I'd been to the Emmys, but there was nothing that felt like the energy of that afternoon. I was actually filming, I don't know if you remember the show MTV Diary. One of the things I got to do, I went to the driver's meeting, and at the driver's meeting I got to meet a lot of the drivers. And one of those was Dale Earnhardt. I don't get nervous meeting people, or I don't get like starstruck feeling, but he's the Intimidator, and I was intimidated.
Good to see you on TV, now you can watch us.
He was extremely friendly to me, and I remember he said, I have to say thank you to you. He's like, because your show has brought me and my daughter closer together. He's like, it's something that we turn on Sunday nights and we watch together. Another thing he told me was, you know, enjoy it. Enjoy the run, because you never know when it's gonna end. I was walking on the grid, he was about to climb in, and I was getting into the pace car. You know, I shook his hand. I was, besides his crew chief, probably one of the last people to talk to Dale Earnhardt the day he died.
Dale Earnhardt is the most prolific restrictor plate driver in NASCAR history. He's chasing his second 500 victory, looking to bookend what's been a legendary Daytona career.
We were up on the spotter stand.
The last lap. Here we go. 15 seconds left.
Big trouble. Big wreck behind them.
It didn't seem that bad. We watched, you know, the ambulance and everybody come over. Still, even in that moment, I don't remember thinking that there was anything necessarily wrong. We went back to the hotel, and my mom was actually down. There was a bar. I went up to my room, and there was breaking news, and it was the Mike Helton announcement.
We've lost Dale Earnhardt.
That was one of the most jaw-dropping, heartbreaking moments I've ever experienced in my life. I ran downstairs. The bar was full of people, full of fans, and I ended up announcing it to everybody. The bar went silent. Like, it was such an eerie, eerie feeling, meeting like a hero. And that hero was gone. There's a lot of things in my life that people bring up or I see video of, and I can't even remember being there. That is a day that I will never forget. It was the highest of highs and then also the lowest of lows. Maybe I talked to him for a total of 3 minutes, right? That's weird that I said 3. I didn't think of that. But a very impactful 3 minutes, especially where my life ended up going. That was an integral part of finding the passion for the sport. I knew that I would give up everything to try to be a part of the magic that is NASCAR that he helped build. When I was entering into the racing world and I was going to be making my Daytona debut, the chassis that I drove was actually Sterling Marlin's chassis from that race. It was the universe telling me I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I've never really talked about this out loud, so like I'm speaking, you know, what's truly in my mind. I couldn't help every time that I drove through turn 4, looking up at the wall where I know he hit.
The work that Frankie Muniz has done, he said this moment means something. He's taking all of it in.
You're just so focused on getting in front of the guy in front of you. I remember thinking like the feeling that I was having, that emotion that I was having in that moment was the last thing that he did. He wanted to beat every single person, and it's changed my mentality when I'm in the race car to race every single lap at my absolute best. It took, you know, seeing how Dale drove to realize that, like, you've got to give it 100%. You only have the opportunity right then when you're in the car, and you don't want to look back with any regret. It goes back to what he told me the day I met him, you know, enjoy the ride. You never know what's going to end. It says everything. The fact that I got 3 minutes with him, but those 3 minutes I will remember forever. And they literally help shape the person I want to be, right? I don't know where I'd be. Maybe I'm not a NASCAR driver now. And I'm not just saying that because we're doing this. I use that advice in my day-to-day with anything I'm doing. I try to live my life to the fullest.
Just have fun, because you never know when it's going to end. You really don't.
Get down there to the last lap, and you get your front end in there, and the guy tries to cut you off, or he tries to do what he can to keep you back there, you stand your ground. And a lot of times it comes out bad, but a lot of times you win races too.
And Earnhardt still got the lead. Incredible.
You know, he was trying to cut me off every way he could.
Oh, and Earnhardt spins him out.
Didn't mean to really turn around, meant to rattle his cage over.
Earnhardt taps him, and around he goes.
Somebody get down here. To the park.
He was kind of a rough driver. I mean, people knew that, but they loved it.
He didn't mind putting a bumper to you and banging you back and forth, you know? It was expected, and it was like, okay, it's Dale.
There's so many Dale highlights of Dale being Dale. There's going to be plenty of imitators, but there's only one Intimidator.
We all know his fierce competitive nature. I mean, he was the Intimidator. You felt it. And when he made moves, you had to get out of the way. It just seemed like there's this aura about him. He was bigger than life. It's like a Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan. With me being a rookie, of course, I'm gonna be nervous already. And at Rockingham, on a fresh set of tires, I caught Dale Jr. so fast, I just flat out dumped him.
I wonder if Kurt Busch shoved him. It looked like he did.
Got a little help from Kurt Busch, but I know he probably didn't mean to do it, so it's cool. I won't go back out there and try to kill him.
That was a mess up. So the next week, Dale Sr. just on my bumper. Oh, I know what I did. I wrecked your son. I was flat out just thought he was just gonna dump me and we were gonna be DNF and headed home early. So I literally pulled over on the front straightaway. Senior goes by, and then on the back straightaway, he pulls over on the back straightaway and lets me back by. He was pissed.
You know, we call Dale Earnhardt the Intimidator. Here's why. Going down in the corner, Kurt Busch goes in the corner. Earnhardt said, now, son, I'm going to show you how to get somebody out of the way.
He just sat there and wore me out, wanted to sweat me. It was probably the longest 40 laps of my life. He wanted to set the tone of, this is my show, screwed up kid, and you're going to be in a world of hurt. I was 22, rookie, going to the Daytona 500. I'm with Roush Racing, a top team.
I'm Kurt Busch, driving the number 97 Roush Racing Ford.
I mean, Fox's big production day, and everything was so new to me. And here I am, just like, this is kind of cool. It's a fairy tale.
Get your programs! Daytona 500 programs!
February the 18th, 2001, I'm driving for Team Penske. I was super focused myself going into that race thinking, you know, I don't want to get in one of these bigger ass wrecks or something like that again. I want to, you know, hopefully have a clean 500.
The 43rd annual Daytona 500 is underway. We're racing.
We had tickets to the grandstand, sort of on the turn one side. It was really cool. I mean, it was going to be a special day. My mom, my dad, myself, we were all there cheering on Kurt.
I remember the intensity was sky high that day. But I think everybody expected Dale to win the race. They expected him to run up front.
You know, the spotter was making a joke when we were behind the 3-car. If he turns right to go out the racetrack and go get a hot dog, you turn right. Just follow the 3-car.
Kurt Busch is right there with him. That kid's driving a whale of a race. He's hanging right in there and doing a whale of a job.
I was just in the mix with the gang, right? Trying to mind my own business and not do anything too dramatic. We hit doors twice.
Oh, did you see Earnhardt bounce off Kurt Busch there on turn 4?
Dale probably looked over and was like, who is this guy? Oh, it's a rookie that ran into my door. He had to show him his displeasure and tell him he was number one.
There it is. There it is. Kurt, you're number one.
And then I see his middle finger out the window, and I'm like, man, what did I do again? I'm like, dude, I can't just do anything right around this guy. Like, I keep, like, stepping on my toes right in front of him, and I never did get to talk to him about it. Never did get to clear the air.
This crowd is on their feet. They want to see the finish of the Daytona 500. They'll look at the white flag.
Last lap, I come off at turn 2, and I had a good draft off the cart in front of me. I went from maybe 8th or 9th, all the way up to 3rd. And I remember him shooting across the front of me, going up and hitting the wall, and the first thing crossed my mind was, oh man, he is going to be so mad. I'm like, I've seen a lot of wrecks like this. I didn't think it was enough to be the last time I'd see Dale.
What I remember was there was a big screen that showed Kenny Schrader get out of his car and walk over to Dale's car, and Kenny like waving to the safety workers, hey, come on over here, need your help. That was the worrisome moment right there where it was like, this one was different.
It's a dangerous sport, man. Accidents happen, crashes happen. None of us ever thought that the immortal Dale Sr. would go out that way. This person's larger than life. He's a superhero. We lost Elvis.
Dale and I had boats side by side at the chart house, and we were going to meet back at the boat that night and talk about how the 500 went. I sat on the boat and I looked over at his boat and there was nobody there. I had no idea that when he hit that wall, that'd be the last time I'd see Dale Earnhardt.
It's like the sport stopped. None of us knew where we were going. None of us knew what we were supposed to do next. It felt like all of us were lost puppies without an owner.
You know, I've always said when I'm tired of getting in the race car. I think I have second thoughts about getting in it and want to be doing something else, want to be somewhere else. You know, that may be the time. I don't know when the time's going to be. I don't know how I'm going to know it. Probably just won't have a desire to go out there and do it anymore. It's when I'll probably want to retire, and that's probably going to be when I'm about 85. Who knows?
When Dale passed, I feel like there was a huge void there that I don't know that ever really got picked back up. There was just a way that Dale did stuff on the track where it was like, damn, you know, I wish I could do that.
Earnhardt just drives around and goes through the dirt.
Look, these drivers are great nowadays. They really are. I mean, you look at some of the talent they got out there, it's incredible. But there's nobody ever going to match Dale or Earnhardt. Just my opinion. And you know what? I know I'm right.
Kyle Busch gets into the back of it. Larson stays in the gas.
Kyle Busch racing back to the line, and Kyle Busch will score the win.
I've made moves that have been, you know, sort of sketch or whatever, and I've come out of it and I've won, or I've made a cool pass or something like that, and it's like, oh yeah, that's Dale, you know. I could see a few of those times where it's like, oh hell yeah, like that's Dale Earnhardt, that's badass, you know. And there's other times when it's like, no, it's not the same.
It's going to take 5 guys, I think, to add up to one Dale Sr. You know, you got qualities from Tony Stewart, where he wouldn't take BS from anyone.
Well, Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? I'm gonna bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
You know, my brother would outcraft you. Dale Jr. had the same prowess on the super speedways. I think it takes a handful of guys. The things that Senior did, there's a lot of drivers out there that emulated his moves, but you can't duplicate the Intimidator.
Why would you want to do something that you know darn well could turn around and bite you, could kill you?
I never wanted to do anything else.
Much has been made about driver safety this week, given the loss of Dale Earnhardt. The Hans device, there are at least 6 or 7 drivers that are wearing that in this race.
The drivers, the wives, the families, the crew chiefs, they ought to be the ones that saying, you're not getting in that car unless you put this on.
It used to be uncommon to hear racers talking about safety issues. It was a form of denial. But times have changed.
My dad was around a lot of guys getting hurt or killed in the sprint car world through the 80s and 90s.
Dave Blaney, World of Outlaws sprint car veteran, his second Daytona 500.
It was told to me early in my life that, hey, what I do is dangerous. And he always was just dumbfounded why the safety wasn't better than what it was.
There's no question this is a very difficult time that NASCAR has lost its greatest driver ever.
At the time, I was 10 years old. My parents were like, whoa, wait a minute, this is dangerous. And, you know, you start hearing about these head and neck restraints and stuff going into NASCAR. You know, I lived in Atlanta, and that's where they were building the Hans device, and they didn't have one for kids. So I went there, and they molded it off of my neck, my shoulders, the first child's Hans device, right after Dale's death. That moment really just kind of spurred all this development.
The safer barrier, steel and foam energy reduction barrier.
You saw the safety stuff just immediately ramp up.
Head and neck restraints are mandatory, effective immediately.
Take your pick, whether it's the Hans, belts, seats, racetracks, car safety. They just keep building off of each other, and well, I think they've saved a lot of lives.
Luckily, when I got into Cup, a lot of those advancements were already there.
Joey Logano is around, wheel-barreling down the back straightaway, end over end, side over side.
The wreck that killed Dale Earnhardt has happened many times since, maybe even harder.
Oh, into the wall hard goes Ryan Blaney. What a shot he took.
Call to me when you can.
I look at that wreck, it was identical to what happened to Dale, and I was fine. I think it just shows how far we've come, where you can take identical wrecks and can walk away from things like that.
The legacy of Dale Earnhardt lives on in so many ways. Who he was and the legend of the sport as a competitor.
The Daytona 500 is ours. We've won it, we've won it, we've won it.
And all these really awesome, badass things. But it also lives on in the safety side of our sport because no one's forgotten about that day. And nobody ever wants to see that happen again.
It's easy to look back on these things like, well, this should have been in place and that should have been in place. It's unfortunate that tragic things happen to where then it progresses. But back then, like, you didn't know what you didn't know.
I don't think the process of continually looking for improvements from the safety side has ended since Earnhardt's crash. Like, that is a journey that will always have to continue.
Talking to guys who were around the sport for a long time, they would always talk about, well, we didn't used to do it this way, and we found all these things to make it better, and this is why we do it this way. And I don't think the rush for driver safety would be what it is today if Dale wouldn't have passed away.
So if I can just get a little bit of room, thank you.
The title of this documentary is We Lost Dale Earnhardt. Your words. Most people think about what we lost that day, but what do we gain from Dale's life?
When you get to my age, you've buried a lot of friends and you buried a lot of family members. As dearly as you loved them, and as hurt as you were when they passed away, they live inside you by their memories. That's a good feeling. I like the idea of thinking about somebody like Dale Earnhardt every day.
Welcome to my office. I'm glad y'all could be here. This is where I work every day.
What Dale's given us is not even measurable. He was a catapult for our sport, made it mainstream. He's still like number 3 or 4 merch sales today. He still has way more t-shirts than me.
Race fans are the greatest people in the world.
Dale Earnhardt definitely has, still to this day, probably one of the most devoted followings.
You see people driving down the road with 3s on their car. Who the hell is driving around with a freaking 12 on their car? Nobody. You got thousands of people out there with 3s that they spray painted on their car.
I go on college campuses every weekend covering college football. I got these kids who were born at least 5 years after Dale's death, holding up beers and throwing up 3s and looking at me going, raise hell, praise Dale.
Dale has left a piece of iconic culture in our DNA that will perpetuate itself.
I mean, every time I go into a parking deck, I park on the 3rd floor. 3 for Dale, right? I mean, everybody says that.
3!
Thanks for watching Do It for Dale. Thanks for watching Do It for Dale.
He's still known as Dale Earnhardt, the badass of all badasses, to people that don't even know who he is. That guy was the real deal.
What we've gained from Dale Earnhardt is a 2-part answer. Number one, we gained being able to see this is as good as it can possibly be done. And then the second part of that is now we have racers who can try to do that, who can push that car as far as the laws of physics will allow. And if they break one of those laws, they're gonna walk away. Anyone who tries to act like we've wrapped everyone in bubble wrap, you know what? The hell with y'all. Because you weren't covering funerals and you weren't burying friends and This idea of it's not as tough as it used to be, damn right it's not, and I never wanted to go back to that.
Oh my God, that looks awful. Oh my God, that is not good. That is not good.
What an incredible sight to see Austin Dillon walking away from that 3-car that is demolished, and the crowd roars.
We've not buried a single race car driver in NASCAR's top 3 series since February 18, 2001. And I always say that reluctantly because I never want to change that sentence.
This is undoubtedly one of the toughest announcements that I've ever personally had to make.
Fans that are of my age will remember that day. Exactly where they were, what they were wearing, and what their life was like on that moment.
We've lost Dale Earnhardt.
You know, it was 1 year later, then it was 5 years later, now all of a sudden it's 25 years later. You remember that day like it was last week.
You know, every year on his birthday, there's still fans that stop over there on Highway 3 and, you know, drop off flowers at the DEI building.
The loss of Dale Earnhardt had a collective impact on the psyche of the NASCAR family more than people really talk about. He was the Intimidator. He was indestructible. He was the least likely guy to be killed in a race car. And in an instant, all of us realized how fragile life really is.
There are only a few people that transcend time. It's Elvis. It's Heath Ledger. It's James Dean. It's Marilyn Monroe. Losing them earlier than we expected to lose them turns them into an even bigger figure than they could have been had they still been with us.
His accolades were magnified with his death. Passing away in the final corner of the Daytona 500 with your son and your other car that you own out front. Can't even make up a script like that. And that's what makes him larger than life, and it will be for centuries.
Sometimes the myth of him overrides, you know, the reality of him, and the reality of him, to me, is better than the myth.
I can have all kind of problems, and people say, well, doesn't it bother you on the racetrack? You think about it on the racetrack? I think about beating the guy in front of me or behind me.
Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt takes the checkered flag.
He really was a self-made hero. His personality was authentic.
That's what it's called, I asked you.
He was not playing a role. That was really Dale Earnhardt. We've lost so much authenticity, and I think that's what resonates the most.
One day, there might be someone, that kid we look at and go, that's the next Dale Earnhardt right there, might actually be that. But you know what? My inclination is that we'll never see it again.
His name will always be around as long as that fan that loved him that much is still alive.
None of us will have the legacy that Dale Earnhardt has 25 years from now.
I hope when 25 more years go by, we're still talking about Dale and what he meant to the sport. And I think that's the most important part. Even though they're gone, they're still here. You lose them, but they're not lost.